This is Dave Meltzer with Entrepreneurs the Playbook, and I am so excited to have two young entrepreneurs for once. Somebody that I think my audience can truly identify with, Terry Lynn, Jake Liu of Outer. And you guys, you caught my attention because I think you have one of the most extraordinary growth potential companies I've ever seen. It gave me an insight on one of my friends. He was approached by the CEO of Uber when he was starting off for some consultative services, and I was like putting myself back going, wow, this is what he must have felt like when he was approached about Uber before they even had, Uber available. So let's talk about Outer first of all. What is Outer, Terry?
Outer is a direct-to-consumer furniture company. We have started with the world's most comfortable outdoor sofa. And
we're sitting on them.
We are sitting on them, and that is the product side. But we are also kind of trying to re-envision the retail model with our neighborhood showroom, which we can get into a little bit later.
Absolutely, and also the quality of product, the distribution model, all those things. Jake, your family actually is from China, and you were born into a business of import-export, I guess, of manufacturing.
Actually, just to clarify, it's my cousin's business.
Still a relative.
Still family, still relative, actually really close to them. So they basically have owned this furniture factory for close to a decade and doing a lot of business in the US. So we're really trying to look for an opportunity to, level up the supply chain and provide really high quality goods to the US.
It's amazing because if I told young entrepreneurs one of my favorite companies that I've come in front of thousands, literally thousands in the last 6 months, you guys are in the top 3, is an outdoor furniture company. I think that's why I wanted you on the show, because most people are like, Dave, you own an eSport team, you're involved in CBD, you have crypto stuff. What are you talking about outdoor furniture? So as far as outdoor furniture, let's talk about the actual product. Because initially when you were pitching me your company, it was the quality of the product, and I thought the unique part about your business was that I have a beach house, and my biggest thing and in my regular home, I have outdoor furniture, and it wears terribly.
Yep.
It ruins so fast. So what was the distinction that you guys decided to focus in on as far as the product side goes?
So I've been in furniture for quite a long time in my career, and I've seen how manufacturers have been designing furniture. It hasn't changed very much. And what I realized was there was an opportunity to look at how people actually use the furniture, and then identify what the problems they were actually having with their furniture that no one's actually doing. And a big piece had to do with protection. And when I say protection, it's how much of a pain in the butt it is to protect, to put on that rain cover, which actually prohibits you from actually wanting to get outside. And it also, once you actually have it on or off, you don't want to put it back on, or you don't want to take it off. So you don't use it that much. So we realized that one of the big things that we wanted to focus on was protection. And we realized there was really nothing out there that addressed that as just a simple a feature that we wanted to do. So that was a big part of what we did.
And you came up with this self-contained system to protect
an
outer shell, which thus the name Outer.
Yep.
Now, you have this great idea, I assume. How did, I have a rule about partnerships. It's stolen from my father. Number 1, don't get into a partnership. 2, if you're going to get into a partnership, make sure your partner has more money than you. And 3, if you don't listen to 1 or 2, go back to number 1. How did you guys become partners?
So it was actually 2 years ago to this day, right? Well, I guess that's June 30th, which happened to be Terry's birthday. I didn't know that.
That's why I will know that date because of that.
But I literally reached out cold on LinkedIn, which never works, by the way. If anybody's
cancel, it does work.
It does work? Okay. Probably much better,
ask everywhere you can. Ask, do you know anybody that can help me? Everywhere, in person, on the phone, social media, text, email, do it. Don't discourage people from asking for help.
So in this case, it definitely worked for me.
There we go.
And so, I literally reached out cold. Terry at the time was the VP of product management at Casper, which is a very prominent D2C mattress company. And my idea was, I wanted somebody that knew what they were doing in the D2C e-commerce space. Reached out to Terry and then found out, first of all, he replied, which was a huge surprise to me. And then I found out later that he was the original head of furniture design at Pottery Barn. So, I found the perfect person that could build this business with me. And, we got on a few phone calls and then a few meetings. I flew up to San Francisco to meet with you, and then a few months later, we joined forces to decide to co-found this company together.
I think it's very important to know one question. Why'd you respond?
Why did I respond? So I do get lots of LinkedIn random messages, and I usually don't respond. And in Jake's case, he had just some keywords in there, if you want to kind of talk about like SEM or SEO, and it was basically the Casper for outdoor furniture. And so he had like the words of stuff that I knew I was good at. I was like, okay, this sounds interesting. I don't know exactly what he wants to do, but at least I know I have the experience from my past to be able to do it effectively. So I was like, okay, let's see where he's going with this. And I have to say, my wife, she said, who is this Jiake guy? I was like, I don't know, but I'm going to call him because it sounds interesting. And then, as Jake said, that first call led to the next call, and then more calls after that. And I live in San Francisco, and he took the time to actually fly up, and we had our first date in San Francisco at Ocean Beach in August. And
Outer Sunset.
I live in the Outer Sunset, and a big part was that we realized, one, that the vision of what Jake was thinking wasn't fully formed. So there was enough opportunity to try to shape it together. And what we realized was that we shared the same values about what we cared about doing. And that was a lot more, rather than this is what I want you to do, or this is what I think the company should do, and we're just going to go at it. It's just really like going back and forth. We didn't actually do much more after that. And then, we kept talking, and then finally we're like, okay, we agree. This is the right thing we want to do in terms of like the type of product we want to do, the values that we hold for the company. And then in the end of 2017, we incorporated, and we have been working on it ever since.
That's awesome. I think it's important to realize, because you're a classic case of somebody stimulated interest. You then took the effort to transition that interest, and you guys shared a vision. So now that you're there, 2017, you share this extraordinary vision, but still this business would not excite me. I just have to tell you, right? I get the material and the hassle, but with everything out there, it just isn't at the pinnacle of investment status for me. It's not at the pinnacle where I'd want to be involved. And as you know, I obviously want to be involved because I am going to elevate this brand for you, because I think what's coming up next is the most exciting thing that I've seen far beyond furniture. How did you guys come up with the business, marketing, and distribution model? Where did that come from? Because I think people need to know how these things come up, and explain what it is. I've been hiding it long enough.
Yeah, so I think you're alluding to the neighborhood showroom model, which is our proprietary platform that's turning people's homes into our retail showrooms. And so it's kind of like Airbnb meets retail with a community twist to it, right? So the whole idea is that buying a bulky piece of furniture online, sight unseen, in this case a premium product, is a major decision, right? And so you really need to go and see and touch and sit in a sofa before you make that purchase decision. And so short of building expensive retail showrooms, which are not a great experience for the consumer anyway, right? You're going to a stuffy air-conditioned showroom, you're basically talking to a salesperson that's very pushy, and it's just not a great experience. And so I think, I thought that this idea could really put a really interesting spin to it, where the consumer has a great experience seeing, touching, and feeling the product in person, leveraging their five senses. But most importantly, they get to meet a real customer in real life, and in a real setting. And by essentially investing into the software, the technology side of things, we can make that experience really streamlined. So we have the hosts on one side, who are actually our customers, real customers, have bought the product, and they basically sign up, raise their hand, and say, I want to volunteer in my backyard to be part of your showroom platform. And then they actually get to control their schedule flexibility. If they're staying home or if they're working from home, consultants, it's a really great fit for them. And then on the other side are the visitors and potential customers, who can then come to our website to see and get inspiration on the website. But then when they want to take the final step to experience the product in person, they can find the closest home near them that has our product. They book a showing, or they just drop by any open showrooms that we'll be launching soon. I guess announcing here for the first time. And then they get to meet in person and essentially reinvent the retail experience for both sides.
What makes it extraordinary to me is most people love the online experience because they're not oversold, back-end sold, manipulated, or lied to, right? And we all know the car showroom example, which has been the trend of what showroom salespeople are trained or at a necessity because they're usually commission-based. They're pushed in that direction. What makes this incredible is two things to me. One is you get an authentic reference. Right? The person knows where you live. They're in your backyard. They can see how old the furniture is from sitting in the backyard itself. They're not promised a year from now. They can say, this thing's a year old. Right?
Exactly.
And what took me to the next level beyond that was the possibility of expansion, because once you own the customer, and you now have provided a revenue generating source for more, people that may not be able to leave their homes because their mother's raising children. I had a single mom, raised 6 kids. It's really important to me. But they also can expand the business model now, right? Because you can go into other alternative businesses once you get a customer to agree to make their home a showroom.
Exactly.
There's, security systems and other furniture and electronics and all these things. Pretty soon, I see you as an extension of the first Amazon showroom utilizing these homes, and that potential is in the billions. And you have to start somewhere, right? We all evolve. Where do you see your biggest challenge? Because one thing that happens to young entrepreneurs when you have an extraordinary opportunity of billions of dollars is they forget to execute on what they're doing today. The legs feed the lion, right? Amazon was a bookstore. Let's not forget.
That's right.
And Bezos executed on selling books online. That's how he became the most powerful businessman in the world. What do you guys plan to do in order to stay focused?
Yeah, well, I was going to actually just kind of add on to what Jake was talking about, the neighborhood showroom, which was, it's kind of like you think about innovation and it's basically hiding in plain sight. So I say that because if you think about how people shop today, and this is a very big generalization, but it's they buy online or they buy in store, and there's so many permutations of that these days. There's curbside pickup, there's try on in store, but you can't actually take it home. So you try it on in store, they'll ship it to you. You buy it online and you pick it up in store. There's all these permutations, but there's only 2 components to it. And what we're trying to do is test out to see, is there a third component? And based on what you said, which is like this idea of reviews in real life, we realized that there was an opportunity for us there. And again, the idea of this innovation in plain sight, we realized there's an insight, which is who people trust when they buy things. And it goes in this order. I trust friends, families, strangers, brands, and then retailers. And that's just how it generally is. And then when I say that part, like friends, a retailer never actually goes and say, go talk to someone about this. And then what do people do before they buy? They look at reviews. Where are reviews? Reviews are on the bottom of a PDP page. So it's at the bottom of the funnel. Why is it done that way? It doesn't make any sense. So what we're trying to do is flip that funnel around for what retail really means to us and how people shop. So that's kind of like where this whole idea of this neighborhood showroom came
And give an authenticity to a review.
Exactly.
Which is one of the biggest difficulties of reading reviews.
Right.
Exactly.
And we don't compensate our hosts on a sale because we don't want to turn them into salespeople.
Right.
We actually just compensate them for their space and their time. So that's an important distinction.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So to your other question,
Yes.
you want to start?
Sure. I mean, so challenges. I mean, there are obviously many challenges to a young startup. In our case, we have a physical supply chain that we have to figure out. New materials. So we're developing new designs. Logistics and all of that. On the other side, we are trying to innovate on the digital product side as well in the way of the showroom platform that we just talked about. So I do think it's important to, to your point earlier, I think it's extremely important to remain very, very focused and just focus on what we do the best, right? So we're getting inputs all the time. Why don't you move into the indoor space? Your fabric works just as well. We're actually sitting on our sofa in the indoor living room. Actually, some of our customers use that as well, and we get requests for, maybe your fabric can work for an indoor sofa, right? Mm-hmm. And so, our vision and our mission is just very clear. We want to become the number one, outdoor living products brand in the world, and we will stay in our lane and be the best that we can. And even with neighborhood showroom, even though with the massive potential opportunity to turn it into an agnostic platform to serve other products, we're right now really laser focused on just creating a really good experience for people who are looking for our outdoor furniture. And so everything we do right now, at the execution level, is really limited in scope. And so hopefully that kind of focus can, take us to the next level.
Last question that most entrepreneurs ask me as a business advisor is about raising money. You guys have different relationships, you have a partnership, you at times have family and friends and bootstrap, etc. But it becomes extremely challenging. One simple question: when do you raise money? How much do you raise? How do you guys deal with that issue?
I guess I'll take that question too. So, I would advise taking money as late as possible. In our case, because we do have the benefit of having, the family factory, so we actually took care of the inventory cost needs, which in a lot of cases, if you're trying to start a physical goods startup, that is definitely, you need some upfront capital. We did raise a small, friends and family round, given that this is my second time building a venture-funded business. So I did have that, go in as well, which was an advantage to us. But what really made us decide to take on, VC funding was when we came across this neighborhood showroom platform opportunity. We realized that we needed to hire engineers, product people. We need to, great designers and all of that to create a digital product that's, just a new take on, retail. And so that's when we decided to raise money, and that's when, that vision really struck, chord with the VCs as well, because now you're a software startup.
Absolutely.
I was going to go back
Please.
to the, we have like so many opportunities. Just your last question.
Yes.
And I was going to say, like, we did an early visioning exercise that Corinne, our head of marketing, put on. And we talked about the 5, 10, 15, 20 year vision. And we just wanted to do long-term planning. And we had our ideas. Jake and I had similar ideas of what we wanted that 20-year vision to be. But really, going back to your question, we do have huge opportunity with, what we're doing and then thinking about like what this showroom could be. But really, like, the question we always ask is, what's the very next step that we need to do so that we can, be at the 50,000 foot level, but then be like, okay, we know that the next step is this, and then just getting back into the weeds and like, this is what we need to do to execute so we can get to that very next thing. And at least on the investor side, it's just being able to demonstrate that we know what we need to do, and maybe they're baby steps, but we're actually doing them, we're achieving them, and moving on to that very next thing.
Great, wise words. It's amazing. I tell people all the time, you can get from Maine to San Diego only seeing 3 feet in front of you. And so many people, they look too far out and they trip and fall, and it ends it all.
Yeah.
What's the best piece of advice that you can give to a young entrepreneur that's starting their first venture? I'll give each of you a chance.
Best advice. I would say, depending on where you start, I'm an older entrepreneur. This is actually my first startup, and I think for me, it's afforded me the ability to be able to kind of connect all the dots of all the things that I've gained in my experiences. Some of them I love doing, other things I hated doing, and I realized that even those things that you hate doing, things that come unnatural to you, those are the things that actually kind of make you grow the most. And with that, it just makes you much more well-rounded. So I would say, like, it doesn't matter what you do, whether you're a grocery checker or you work at McDonald's, something's going to actually come of that. Some really valuable piece of knowledge, whether it's about, servicing a customer that's pissed off or something else where you just have to solve it. Like, just realize all those little things that you do shape who you are, and then take the time to actually reflect on what those things were and then how it actually makes you who you are.
Great advice. And Jake?
And I think to me, I reflect on the 2 companies that I started. Both were, started. I didn't set out to start a startup because I wanted to do a startup. I feel I'm naturally, drawn to problems. My background is computer engineering, so I love problem solving. And specifically, in archaic industries. My previous startup was in the small business, Main Street restaurants space, which tech like goods, and in this case, furniture, which is another, industry that needs a lot of innovation, in my opinion. And so I feel, the advice is that because entrepreneurship is so hard, you're going to run, it's kind of like a roller coaster, right? So as they say, and if you don't have this calling or the mission that really drives you on a day-to-day basis, it becomes extremely difficult, right? It's not a great way of making money, first of all, right? There are many other ways to make money if that's your goal. So really just to, to be honest with yourself, in the mission that you're setting out to do. In our case, in Outer, right, it's the sustainability, the fact that all the chairs are made of recycled plastic bottles, the fact that we are changing and leading the charge on how people perceive retail in the new millennial generation. It's about sustainable manufacturing. It's about this hot topic that's going on right now, right? Trade war and like internationalization and globalization and all of that. And so those are the core topics that really speak to me. And I feel like waking up every day, I'm moving an inch closer to that eventual goal. That's what keeps me going, even if I'm getting 10 no's from an investor in that week, right? So.
Which is exactly why the last component that you both have, why I'm so interested in Outer, is I always look for the right people. And you both maintain and practice finding the light or infusing the passion, or I always say learning to love what you do. No matter whether you're the McDonald's person or have a huge executive job, you still have to learn to love what you do and find the light in what you're doing, and the light in each other, and the light in the industry, and even the globalization and the impact that it has brings a different light. And you both are doing an extraordinary job. I want to thank you both for creating such great role models for young entrepreneurs, to show them the real vision of what it's like to have a startup, how you can think outside the box, how pragmatically you can execute on your plan, and as well still have a humanitarian view of what you're doing with some sort of social impact, which is obvious next to me. So Terry Lin, Jake Liu with Outer, check him out at outer.com. This is Dave Meltzer with Entrepreneurs, The Playbook.